Okay, welcome Multnomah Village, week 89, Justice for Qadira. And I tell you, every week we get out here, we learn something. One of the things we're learning is that we could find a dead body and the weapon and the murderer and drag it down to the front doors of the police station and they would not care. So nothing, we say up here seems to get an investigation. But we have been in the last 2 weeks, not up here for some reason, but downtown, criminally cited for speaking, for using our free speech, which I find ridiculous, honestly. If a Portland jury were to convict us for standing on a corner 1 hour a week, expressing our grievances without damaging anything, that I would find that to be pure comedy. Because after what the leadership let happen in the city, none of this makes any sense. I read an article the other day, apparently BLM accepted $83 billion, from corporations. That's insane to me. I mean, we stand up here, we don't take a penny for what we do. We get out here and we just tell our story. But I mean, BLM got $83 billion, which tells me that movement was very much funded. And what's sad is every dollar was wasted because we are still standing on this corner. And I just got to tell you, I mean, we've turned this information over to the police that, like I said, I don't even want to get into it because it's so egregious that they're not doing anything. It's funny to me because the public likes to say to me and my husband, well, what are you getting done out there? You're getting nothing done. No, it's the other way around. You guys aren't getting anything done because you're being run around the block by criminals, okay, over and over and over, and your whole city has gone to hell, especially since our daughter was burned in 2007. I mean, when we started this fight, I would have never imagined the city would look actually like a hellhole in 16 years. But because the leadership has been so focused on covering this up, and y'all ought to know that by now, because it's never in the news. This is their entire focus. Harassing my family is literally become their entire focus, and they spend probably millions of dollars on it at this point, because I can tell you for a fact, the malicious prosecution of my brother that's going on, I mean, there's documented medical records that he was having a medical emergency that day, and they just want to ignore it and continue this malicious abuse and spend untold amounts of taxpayer dollars on it. I mean, for a DA that prosecutes nobody to go after somebody on a first offense who had a documented medical emergency and be trying to put them in prison for 40 years and to have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars. They're spending thousands upon thousands of dollars of shutting this down, all in an attempt to never want to fix the system that doesn't work. One of the things I've been thinking about lately, and I think this is really important for our society, and especially for our youth, and I hope people listen up here. We should be encouraging people to use the court system for civil dispute resolution. You can't just tell people not to be violent. You need to give them an avenue to appropriately work out their disputes and disagreements. And all over the world, we see this as a problem because our court systems have been monopolized by these filthy attorneys. They get these licenses and then they run around filing the frivolous lawsuits while the rest of us, argue and fight in the streets when we don't need to be doing that. It should be, I believe, in schools. Can we be done with the gender ideology and can we move on to teaching our kids to how to please use our court system? Everybody should have a basic legal education. Everybody should know how to file and respond to a complaint. Everybody should know how to formulate an argument in front of a jury and judge, because we spend most of our time in the world basically managing disputes because there's a lot of us here and we need to learn how to communicate. One of the things that they've done to me and my husband is they've locked us out of the legal community. We cannot get one lawyer in this nation to do anything on our behalf.
But really, we shouldn't need an attorney.
But we shouldn't need an attorney
We should be able to bring our grievances to the court system, and they should be fairly dealt with. But what we have is very powerful people being able to suppress not only our voices here out in the media, but also in the courtrooms. The judges, they can just backdoor deal the judges, and the judges can just disregard the law, and they can throw us out.
And
when we have valid, legal issues.
This isn't a conspiracy either. If you would take yourself down to the courthouse and sit in the pews, you would start to get an understanding of why our society is crumbling so quickly. We don't talk to each other. Citizens and administrators, we're not talking to each other.
We're not having genuine conversations.
No, mostly when you go into a courtroom, it's two attorneys and a judge, and it's very much set up like the Atlantic slave trade. That's the best way I can explain it, because generally the defendant isn't going to speak. And even if you're down there just, filing custody papers or for divorce or whatever, most people in their life, I would say everybody is going to have to use the court system. Why we get zero education in how to use the legal system makes zero sense to me. We send kids to school for 12 years and they get absolutely no education in this. It's reserved for attorneys only. And then the attorneys decide what are the important issues of our day. I saw most recently that Jason Kafori, whose father, Greg Kafori, actually threatened my family. He said it wasn't going to end well for us. That was several years ago. That's in my book. I see he's out filing lawsuits because, somebody checked my receipt when I left the store. Somebody, checked my bag, because they thought I was stealing. Those are the kind of lawsuits that are being filed for $1 million a pop. And I just want everybody to know that, the legal system, it's not a lottery, but that's how they present it in the media. Like, you go to an attorney, with some frivolous complaint. We've got some guy who got an attorney to sue Wingstop because they've got boneless wings. I mean, give me a break. But then there's serious issues like ours, and instead of us being able to go to a court and figure it out, which is how you stop violence, FYI, is you let people actually have discourse and figure out their problems.
Civil discourse.
Civil discourse. Instead of letting us do that, me and my husband, which is a real easy way to clean up the protest, right? Do a proper, full and fair investigation, and then let's take this down to the court and let's talk about what really happened here. Let's present facts, evidence. Let's pull out witnesses. Let's have people testify. Instead, we've got the Portland police now twice criminally citing us. 2 weeks ago, they brought one uniformed officer, the same officer we turned the information that I've been discussing up here into, which was very weird and triggering. But again, me and my husband are pacifists. I think I've said that before. We're not going to respond violently. They hand us a ticket that says we're committing a crime, doing this right here. This is the crime. Standing on a corner 1 hour a week to express your grievances. And then the next week, because, they can't get us to commit a crime because we're not interested in committing a crime, they come down again and hand us another ticket, and it says crime. It's like we're not committing a crime, but they're trying to put into our head that we should go commit a crime and me and my husband are seeing this more and more and more out in our society, which is the leadership actually inciting violence. Because they're not trying to help anybody figure out their problems. I mean, for us, for the last 16 years, we've had every reason to be violent because these people just completely ignore everything we say. Because we were always second-class citizens. We didn't get to, you really get to feel that when you try to use the system and you're locked out of it. And now the police are shamelessly locking us out of the system. What I found really inappropriate over the last 2 weeks is don't have your new hires and your trainees, don't teach them hate and discrimination by having them come hand tickets to us on the corner, because it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I see. When a person of color is not violent, that angers the community, and then they have to suggest we be violent. You know what I'm saying? It's not okay. And we're not going going to be violent because, again, I've told you over and over, and everybody in this community knows we are pacifists. We live 2 blocks from the people who abused our daughter. We've never touched a hair on their head. And there's a reason for that. You know, violence is just unjustifiable. I'm not going to drag myself down to your level just to make you feel comfortable. But to see the police doing that, to see the police teaching the new hires that here in Portland, you know, by having them come down and inappropriately harass us and ticket us, because, I mean, what complaint are they going to file in the court? 2 people stood on the corner for an hour talking. It's ridiculous. You know, last week, too, there was a protest for Tibet in the Pioneer Square. They had a sound system. They marched. They did all this stuff. They had a whole crowd. They didn't get a ticket. So I don't know what Portland's trying to prove here, but one of the main things I see in the city is that there is a failure from leadership, all the leadership, even the new people, you know, to acknowledge the issues we're having here, because it's not just the homeless people and the criminals that are the problem, right? We've got a problem in our leadership. And you know, it's really global, but I mean, when you just pare it down to Portland and see what's just happening here, this whole, the way people constantly and consistently turn to violence on this planet is holding everybody back. We need to find a way to take care of all of the life. That's the actual goal that we're supposed to be working on here. And, we're not getting it done, okay?
We're not getting it done because it's just not the goal.
Right, and the leaders aren't trying to help us get it done. They want you to be violent. I can't tell you how many times they have tried to put in me and my husband's heads that we should be violent. They sent an FBI agent to our house and they asked my husband if he was going to commit a mass shooting. Why would you do that? You know, why now are they refusing not to investigate this? Look, it's not our problem that all these educated, high-powered people tried to kill our daughter. That's what they did. That's what the evidence shows. We can easily clear this up in a court of law. But again, they've locked me and my husband out of the court of law because what they want is violence. And any leader that is leading their people towards violence and trying to incite violence in their communities, they've got to step down. I mean, all over the world, because, you know, it doesn't matter how many people are on this planet. We need to be trying to get along. And, you know, we set up all these rules and laws, presumably, so we can live together. But, I mean, as me and my husband have found, and especially me and my family have found, as this has drug on and on and on, that they just use the laws however they want to use them.
Just when it's convenient for them. We're talking about the people in power. The people that we supposedly put in place to represent us. And, you know, first of all, I don't think that that's actually what happened. You know, but all of our systems are so completely corrupt that I don't think that the voice of the actual people are being heard or listened to. And
it's interesting here in Portland because everybody thinks everybody's doing everybody a favor by ignoring justice for Qadira, when in fact you're just letting your irresponsible leaders off the hook, because they should be able to help us resolve this problem, you know, non-violently through the use of civil discourse. They shouldn't be trying to shut down the media. They shouldn't be trying to take sides. What they should be looking at is, were the laws broken and who broke the laws? And it shouldn't matter if the person is, you know, the President of the United States or Johnny on the corner. You know what I'm saying? There needs to be some fair and equitable distribution of laws, or they're really kind of quite pointless, which is what you see here happening in Portland. I call it the zombie apocalypse. You know, I think we've all been waiting for an apocalypse. I think we're having one. I think it's just less interesting, you know, than The Walking Dead, or, you know, maybe what you imagine the apocalypse would look like in the Bible or whatever. But when you have thousands of people just choosing to live in the streets, you know, drugging themselves out because they can't stand the reality they're in anymore, and they have no incentive to come back to reality or participate in what has been built here, that's a serious problem. And I tell you right now, scooping all those people up and sticking them in a camp together when the whole city is flooded with drugs, that's just going to be a disaster. I mean, either you are going to stop and help people and acknowledge the real issues, or, I mean, I guess just don't do anything, really, because, I mean, you're just going to be hurting people even more. I mean, people are constantly being harmed, I think, because that's the goal. Nobody wants to deal with anybody anymore. Human life is seen as a burden. This protest is seen as a burden because, you know, we keep getting out here and hammering away at this issue, but these issues are so important because all we have is today. You know, all we have is today. I always think back to that scene in the Goonies when they could decide whether to move forward or turn back. And, you know, the fact of the matter is we're at this point here in Portland and we can move forward and we can talk about this and we can talk about what this means, or we can continue not to acknowledge it and we continue to follow our irresponsible leaders down this rabbit hole. And there's so many of them because it's even within our protest groups. You know, you've got Antifa, you've got BLM, you know, you've got all these people out in Portland protesting for stuff, but all of them are ignoring this, you know, because for some reason, you know, because me and my husband survived this and because we've kind of lived to tell the tale, you know, we are rejected by people. And I don't really understand it because we didn't actually write this story. Your public officials actually wrote the story because they had all the power all the time. All we are doing is telling you about it, and I don't know what it is, but there seems to be this visceral reaction to kill the messenger. But, I mean, I guess we've been doing that, you know, since Kingdom Come really here on planet Earth. You know, it's time to change our society. It's time to start teaching our kids, you know, real dispute resolution. You know, if we want to see gun violence stopped, okay?
And it's time for us...
violence in general.
It's time for us to start teaching our children what really matters, because what we are doing right now and what we have our younger generation focused on is not actually... it doesn't actually mean anything.
It's not going to make them happier, it's not going to make them healthier, and it's not going to make them capable of living together in a way where everybody can actually live and not be harmed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in order to develop a prosperous society, a global human culture of you know, actually building society up and having all of the life here taken care of, we're not going to get there if we don't start focusing people on that mission. But that is not happening currently.
That's not even the goal of our leaders. And, you know, here in Portland, I really feel like if people would stop ignoring what we're doing, we could really get somewhere, because we really have something here in Justice for Qadira to question our leaders about, because they've done a whole lot in this case. You know, it's just been one inappropriate thing after the other. What I see here in this community, because it is mostly white, people just seem to struggle with the race component of this story, even though it exists. Our daughter's attorney, Scott Kocher, very racist man, very racist man. You don't need to make that a reflection of you. Judge Michael McShane, very racist. Rudy Lockenmeyer, from Lockenmeyer and Roland Henson, very racist. I mean, that's why they did this. But now, because they are in positions of power, you've got Judge McShane as a federal judge, Scott, you know, he's this high-powered attorney here, which he just threw our daughter under the bus. So, I mean, that just made his career great. That's what made him the 5-star attorney he is today. You know, you have to start going after these people who are tampering with the system. And that's why I think the J6 stuff is so interesting, because, yeah, those people were acting silly and they shouldn't have done it. I mean, I wouldn't have followed Trump into that mess. I mean, when I saw him on TV telling everybody to go down there, like I said, I was like, you first, buddy. And of course he didn't go first. You know what I'm saying? Me and my husband
He didn't go at all.
Yeah, he didn't go at all. Me and my husband are out here because we are willing to get out in front of the things we believe in, okay? And a lot of people just don't have the guts to do that. That's just what it boils down to. But I mean,
I don't know. They used to, though. It seems like they used to.
We used to have great people like Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Gandhi, all these people that actually stood for something, but people don't stand for something anymore because I think they're too plugged into their phone, and they only know how to protest when the media tells them when to protest, where to protest, and what to protest, and how to protest, which is why we got the George Floyd riots, which were paid for, obviously by corporate America, and boy, they're the ones really that should be responsible for all the damage that it did. I don't see where the violent ideology gets us anywhere. Like, even for me, I want to know why these people hurt my daughter. I want to know more about what happened that night. I want to know how they made it so she got no treatment at the hospitals. I want to understand who else was involved. So when you start killing people, you never get to ask them questions. Because once, the dead don't talk. In our daughter's case, there's a lot of people who can be rounded up and they do talk. You know what I'm saying? Because they're still here because we're pacifists. And I also think pacifism should be encouraged in our community, not degraded. Because, why are we accepting criminal citations? It's outrageous. If more people would, when they are protesting, would get out on the corner once a week and try to communicate something, we'd all be better off.
I think
because
so.
That is what we are lacking in our society today, is we are not teaching our children to communicate. We are all that's really being taught is this instant gratification. Go get a surgery. Go get a pill. Go on this diet. Whatever it is, it's just an industry that's being sold. Take this drug and everything will be instantly better. Nothing is going to be instantly better here until we start working to learn to communicate. And in our situation, we are so reasonable. These people should be able to communicate with us, but they hide. Like little babies, like children. And this is from their own mess. They made the mess. Me and my husband had, I just want to keep saying it, zero control. Our daughter was presented to multiple authorities. We didn't hide her in a back closet. Everybody knew what happened here. They did what they did. They broke all these laws. They continue to break the laws. They're continuing now as we speak, because they just want what they want. And like I said, it's the citizens that are losing, because we have people like Ted Wheeler in charge who thinks he can just cover up this crime. We have people like Renee Gonzalez in charge. They think they can just cover up this crime and then move on and fix the city. You can't do that. It's not going to work. You have to go back and deal with your skeletons and deal with where your system has fallen down. Otherwise, you can't fix it for anybody. And
because, folks, it's like building on, a compromised foundation. You can build the prettiest, most perfect-looking house that you want, but if it's sitting on a foundation that is crumbling, eventually that house will fall down.
Yeah, you don't put a strawberry on top of a pile of poop and call it a sundae, okay? And that is what we think we can get done here in Portland, and it's not going to work, and it's not working. It's
not working, folks.
As I've explained, all this hanky-panky that me and my husband have been talking about that we personally have eyewitnessed, it's still going on.
They haven't fixed this stuff, folks. They haven't even addressed it. They haven't even acknowledged it.
When I see what's going on with my brother, it's absolutely outrageous to me. But he is stepping up to the plate. He is representing himself. He doesn't have anything to hide. But to watch them frustrate and, continue on with this process of trying to prosecute him over, like I said, 3.5 years now, when we prosecute nobody here in Portland. And when the alleged victim only took 2 days off of work, got U.S. citizenship and $54,000, what are we doing in America? What does it mean to be a citizen? Is it better to not be a citizen here? Because in my brother's case, the non-citizen is the one that our country is caring for. The citizen is being treated like the problem with no extra help.
And no regard for the fact that he is actually
a citizen.
A citizen.
No, it's the other way around. I can't believe it. This whole thing that he got involved with happened on an illegal work site. Everybody there working was illegal. Well, the employer's not being penalized. The people that set up the ladders that were against the little fence, the chain link fence, they're not being penalized. Doesn't matter that his claim was filed because a ladder hit him on the head. He's still getting to say it was my brother that hit him, even though it's the whole thing. The whole thing. This is the kind of stuff we're paying for. We're paying for nonsense. Taxpayers shouldn't want to pay to lock up people, who did not commit a crime. But, because nobody's in the courtrooms anymore, and I mean empty courtrooms.
Every single time we go to the court, all there are empty pews, and there's nobody holding these people accountable.
You can't just trust that the judges and the attorneys are doing the right things because they have a monetary incentive. And that's what I don't like about our legal system, and the fact that kids aren't taught anything about it. Citizens should know a lot more about their legal system. Every time I go down to the courthouse, people are standing around looking deaf, dumb, and blind. It's not a joke. They don't even know where to go to get papers, crucial papers they need to file. They don't know where to go to get any help. We've created an entire system where we're locked out, and then there's no engagement with the citizens. So if a judge and two attorneys, say somebody's being prosecuted under the law, if you know nothing about that, it's a very difficult situation to be put into. And then if the judge never talks to the accused, that's the system we have, which is why I say it's very much like the Atlantic slave trade, then you never get to know their story. You never get to understand how they came to be in this position. A lot of times, I think 97% of the time in America, it's just two attorneys and a judge, and they get out a plea deal. They force the accused into a plea. That's why we have, our prisons are so full.
Well, it's an industrial complex, folks. It was designed to make money, and that's the basis of everything that's going on in our society right now. As a matter of fact, the medical system is being used. It's just an industry. It's just making money. It's a business. It's not a place. Caring for people is secondary, and it really happens out of the goodness of the people's heart that work there. But the way that the system is set up is the focus is making the money first,
and
then it's a side effect that we actually get people cared for at all, which is why so many people get hurt in the medical system.
Exactly. What's another interesting thing about the medical system is it's really the medical community. I just was tweeting about this the other day. They rolled back the age of consent, like a Walmart special, and now all of a sudden kids who are under the age of 18, they can go in there and get procedures, that really you shouldn't be making a decision on getting until you're 18. And if you can't make it to 18, without offing yourself, then that's a mental health condition that needs to be addressed first before you start changing the outer.
Because if you want to commit suicide, folks, that means that you are mentally unstable.
And there's a multitude of reasons why people don't want to be here. This is a poor setup. When you look at how the world is devolving down, is it any wonder that people aren't satisfied when they go get a pill or a surgery or whatever's going on in their life? Some material thing isn't going to solve, the disorganization and the poor treatment of the human life and all of the life on this planet right now. We have a lot to figure out. I hate how only, the people in charge get a voice. Me and my husband get out here because we are citizens, global citizens. We're citizens. We're community members here in Portland. We deserve to have a voice. Our lives were really upended by this poor organization and corruption. And this is an important story. We don't think this story should never not be told. We'll tell it for the rest of our lives because, it was ignoring something like this. This is how the city began to fall. And this city is falling. Like I said, we are in a zombie apocalypse. And the fact that we now have leaders that think they're just going to throw everybody into camps, I think they're going to flood the camps with drugs. The streets are already flooded with drugs. When we go downtown, that's all we see. We were younger before the world took our pride. We were walking in straight line. That was a nice little music break. So there's a lot to figure out here, and we need to be inviting more people to the table. I don't know why me and my husband, why Justice for Qadira gets shut out, like I said, of every community. Nobody wants to question anybody about this, but it's not a way forward. It's not a way forward.
Folks, we should be able to come to some kind of common ground where free will, sovereign individuals with built-in authority, we are not actually claiming our authority, though. Like I said, and I've been saying it before, the people in power, they are using our authority against us, and that shouldn't be going on. Folks, we should be able to, like I said, come to some kind of common ground where we're all being cared for properly, you know?
And it should be really about the health and safety of people, but nothing's about the health and safety of people anymore.
No.
And it has a lot to do, I'm going to say it again, it has a lot to do with the fact that, we've been locked out of our own house. I mean, I can't believe, I'm going to say it again, kids go to school for 12 years and they don't even get a basic legal education when at any time, whether as a victim, as the accused, or just as somebody who needs to file some papers, because something has happened to you in a court, everybody's going to use the courthouse. And if we don't start getting educated, we're not going to have, this is why we don't really have America anymore. And this is why we won't have America anymore if we don't start talking to each other. You can't just have judges and attorneys administering society and politicians and the people not engaging. So, but again, that's where I think self-representation and teaching people a basic legal education is incredibly important.
Another big problem that we have is the media. Okay, so
yes.
People, the media, the people who are running the media get to decide what we are responding to, what we should be paying attention to. And that's a very dangerous thing because I don't believe that the people in power have everybody's interests or best interests at heart. No, they have their interests at heart. So that's what they flood your consciousness with, is their interests. And it's not you, folks, okay? The people on the media, you are not their interest, okay? They just have you running around, okay? This is like, it's like the ringmaster at a circus, okay? They have you focused on this ring and focused on that ring. They never have you focused on what is happening to you, okay? And how you are being affected by the things that they are allowing to go on here in our society. And it seems like they are all working in tandem. Our politics, the courts, the medical system, and the media, okay? And law enforcement, it's the lowest hanging fruit on the totem pole, okay? That's why, they always have this idea of the thin blue line. They always have the masses attacking the police as if they were the problem. They are not the problem,
They
folks.
actually offer the police up. I mean, like last week, they sent down not just the noise ordinance officer, but they also sent down two uniformed police officers. Why? Because they want me and my husband to get into a fight with the police. We're never going to get into a fight with the police because there is no point in getting into a fight with the police. And even if they won't investigate this, that's just their choice. And you can take that up with God or whatever, or your own spiritual, whatever you believe in. I would not be involved in covering something like this up. But if they want to be, I just want to let the Portland Police know and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that's a personal choice. You know what I'm saying? You are allowing this to fester in your community, and you're going to suffer the effects of that because people are going to know about it.
Not only that, folks, you are allowing irresponsible people to continue running our community, and unopposed, okay, with impunity. These people are not being held to any kind of account. We've witnessed that personally.
Well, think about it. Like, if a parent has their kid living in complete squalor and they're not feeding them, well, a lot of these kids slip through the cracks anyway, even though we supposedly have this social service system. But anyway, the state will come in and say, hey, we need to make this child safe, so we're going to remove them from your home. Well, I look around our society and it's like we are at a point now where we are paying, I don't even know how much as taxpayers, to all different administrators, and the whole thing looks like a hellhole. And who's at fault? It's like DHS coming in and yelling at the kid and saying, you didn't pay the bills. You haven't cleaned up all this garbage. How come the refrigerator has no food in it? Why are the citizens being blamed here? Because I see that a lot on social media. It's like it's everybody else's fault, and all the people who are administering everything, they just get off, and they're always considered, great people. That's something me and my husband have run up against this entire time since we've been fighting for our daughter. Is like, oh, well, those people are better than you and more educated than you, and they have a position of power, so you're the liar, and you're the one that needs to be ignored, and they're the ones that have to be listened to, even though they drag us deeper and deeper into their filthy hellhole with each passing minute.
If we don't figure this out, folks, we're out here because we just want to have a genuine discourse with our community, and it's just not happening. We feel compelled to get out here and voice our opinions because, folks, we are seeing what everybody else is seeing. We're looking at it. We're just the only ones, willing to say something about it.
And we see it through the lens of this protest, this ongoing protest, which for many of you, like I said, I hear this all the time. Oh, what does pacifism do? You're getting nothing done. That's what somebody said to me. And I said, you know what me and my husband do? We communicate something each week. So don't tell me I'm not getting anything done. I'm out here communicating with my community, and I'm not trying to burn it down or hurt it. I'm trying to help the community. We cannot change this story here that me and my husband tell. I know it agitates everybody. It upsets some people. It's very disturbing to know that our system was tampered with in this way. And, people direct their anger at us when that's really misplaced. And it's not that we suggest that we go and hurt anybody or burn anything down. That's stupid. But we need to start questioning these people. I don't know how Ted Wheeler or Renee Gonzalez or Joanne Hardesty or Governor Kotek or Governor Brown, how are they getting through their appointments without anybody in the media saying, excuse me, what happened here in this case? Because once they have to start talking about it coherently, I guarantee you that you will be upset and you will want to see change because you will understand that we're telling the truth. They're just not giving us the opportunity to present this in the media or present it in any court of law, like I said, which again is inappropriate because you should want people to try to civilly work out their issues. And me and my husband have been penalized since the day our daughter was abused for not adhering to the image of the violent black man and the angry black woman, okay? So, people get suspicious of pacifists. That's what I found. Like, oh, you didn't kill somebody. But come on, if we had killed somebody, we'd be in jail. And we wouldn't have been in the right. Okay, two wrongs just don't make a right, and they don't make positive change.
And that's what we are focused on doing, folks. We would like to make some positive change. I know you think that this protest is disruptive, but it's a protest, folks. There's going to be some civil disobedience. Yeah, there might be a noise ordinance, okay? But, folks, this is as bad as it gets.
This is the only way for pacifists to make their voices heard. If we are not being civilly disobedient by making a little bit of noise, which we don't make noise all week long. We speak for about an hour up here on Wednesdays, and we do an hour downtown. For them to be trying to charge us with a crime and sending police officers out. I mean, my God, 3 officers, the noise officer, 2 uniformed officers to come down and harass me and my husband last week when there is serious crime happening all over the city. A TriMet bus driver was just stabbed yesterday. I mean, there is all kinds of horrific things going on in this city.
You got some rapists running around groping women.
Yeah.
He gets 30 days in jail, and then they just let him back out.
30 days in jail, and that's another thing. I mean, I see all these people committing crimes in this city, but here they are going after my brother who's they're saying the things he did were intentional. He didn't do anything intentionally. You know what I'm saying? And the alleged victim was compensated so handsomely at this point. It's just incredible to me. Like I said, I guess it pays not to be a citizen. I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, as a citizen here in America, I mean, I don't know. I've lived here my whole life. So is my husband. Raised our family here. Can't get any service. Can't get any service. You know what I'm saying? But I guess if you're not a citizen, you can. I mean, we should discuss that. I don't really know what the perks of being an American citizen are anymore. We set all this up, but it's apparently not for everybody, which is really sad. Again, it's just another way to create division and incite violence within the community, which I do believe is the goal. Because there does really
That's the goal of the people that are running things. That's what it seems like.
And it seems like what I can say from our family, our personal experience, they tried to destroy our family and tried to get us to be violent, and they tried to get us to, either kill ourselves or kill somebody else. That's the type of stress they've been putting on our family. It's nonstop. Because we don't believe in violence, we are responding in the way that we are responding, and they don't like that. They don't like that. And that's another sad thing, is that they don't want people to be mindful of their community or care about their community. Because obviously, all of you here in Multnomah Village and the people downtown, you guys did not boil up a tea kettle and burn up our daughter. No, Todd and Amy did that. And then there are very specific people that threw her out of the hospital and tried to cover it up. Those are the criminals here. The judges that tampered with the system. Those are the criminals. So why would we even think to take our frustrations out on you? Now, in terms of why we don't bother those other people, is like I said, we want to hear from them. I would much rather these people be arrested, rounded up, and we deal with what happened here so it never happens again, than, everybody be killed and we never figure anything out. Because chaos and violence lead to nothing. I don't know when we're going to get that figured out on planet Earth, but we need to figure it out. Because there are people, who are running everything, that are consistently and constantly pushing that we should turn to violence to solve our problems.
And that just can't continue to be the case, folks. Not if we want to live together here peacefully on this planet and get anything actually positive done. Everything that we are doing that is positive is being undermined by the way we allow the system to continue running, and the apathy that my wife and I are experiencing or witnessing from global human citizens is it's egregious, okay? It's egregious. If we don't start getting involved, with the actual running of our society, and trying to have genuine discourse with each other and trying to figure out, hey, what exactly are we doing here and why, we're never going to fix anything.
We also need to, if you're concerned about gun violence, whether you are for or against the Second Amendment, the fact of the matter is if we want to end violence in our communities, and specifically gun violence, many people will teach their kids to pick up a gun and shoot it, but how many of you will teach your kid how to use their rights? How many of you will take your children down to the courthouse or down to the library, pick up the book, Represent Yourself? Learn something about your legal system, because it is something you'll be using for the rest of your life, and it helps the judges and it helps the attorneys, begin to understand their place better when the citizens engage. It's kind of like we're playing this big chess game and none of the pawns are moving. I mean, we need to be watching this process so people can be held accountable. We can't hold the people running our system accountable if we're not watching them. So it's so important. I really truly believe starting in 6th grade, kids should be taken down to the courthouse on a regular basis. They should be given a basic legal education. It's classes they should take every year. You should know how to file basic legal documents. You should know what's in them. You should know basic legal words.
You should understand where the rights are written down, how to access them, how to apply them, okay, to your circumstance, okay, because there are laws that are written, okay, and basically barely anybody knows about them. We have this kind of basic understanding. There's this Constitution and there's this Congress, and they write these laws, but nobody really knows what the laws are. And we make the laws so complicated that nobody can, even if they do want to get in there and try to figure out what the laws are, they lose interest because of the way that we are representing ourselves to each other.
But it's also because, I do believe it's because young people are not being taught to even look at or access these things. There's a lot of things we teach kids in school that they just forget. It's useless information, in terms of actually, it has no real application in life. Every single one of you will end up down at the courthouse for some reason. I don't care if you're getting a divorce, custody battle, filing a registration.
You might be called as a juror.
You might be called as a juror. You might be picked up on a crime. I don't care what it is. So in order for our society to function, a free society to function, you don't always need a gun to defend yourself. But it's always useful for you to know how to communicate and use your words, and we should encourage this type of discourse in our community so when people are angry, they have somewhere to take their grievances so they don't have to pick up a gun. Right now, we have no place for people to take their grievances. I mean, if you don't have, a bunch of money or an attorney won't take your case on contingency, you are locked out of the system. Or if for some reason, people within that system have a vendetta against you. Like, for instance, me and my husband, we're locked out of the courts because the entire state and maybe the entire nation at this point has a vendetta against our family because we survived this attack. Not because we did the attack, we have survived the attack, and now they're just mad because now they wish they had probably killed us or taken some other tactic besides ignoring us. Now ignoring us is all they've got. And we're just out here really trying to inform the public and make things better. But we're not going to get there without some public engagement. I mean, it's on all of everybody here to want change. I think Portland is a great place to start facilitating that change, but the citizens are going to have to get involved. They're going to have to stop ignoring this. We're willing to be out here for forever, so whether you want to ignore us today and get involved 2 years from now, doesn't matter. This is a lifetime journey for us now.
And we're gonna uphold our commitment because that's what we've made, okay? We've made a commitment not only to our daughter, we've made a commitment to ourselves, and we've made a commitment to God. So we're going to be out here, and we are out here. Hold on.
We're also making a commitment to the community because, you guys, we can't live like this. We can't live like this, and we just can't just keep taking suggestions from people who aren't leaders. So I will just say one thing about me and my husband. It took some serious leadership skills to get here. No matter what you think, if this was really difficult water for us to navigate, and we did it alone.
Folks, I think what makes a leader is somebody that actually cares about, people. That's what makes a leader. So, and we do. We care about people. That's why we haven't harmed the people that abused our daughter. That's why we haven't harmed any of the people that did this stuff to us, okay? We are just trying to hold them accountable because it's good for them.
They need to be held accountable.
They need to be held accountable because when you are irresponsible, especially when you have the ability to influence so much of society, you need to be held accountable, okay? And so we're not going to stop doing what we're doing. We're going to be out here. If we can do it more, we will, okay? But right now, as things are, this is a sustainable thing for us, and we're going to keep on doing it the way that we're doing it.
And we will meet. We will be meeting. We will go down to the courthouse. We now have court dates on March 31st and April 6th. As of right now, no complaint is filed. I can't imagine what kind of complaint they would file.
But if they want to file a complaint,
they want to do it, they want to do it. And if a Portland jury wants to throw us in jail because we're out here trying to make things better, well, that's just how we like to do around here. I don't know what else. I mean, if that's a choice, that's a choice for the community, but it won't fix anything. It won't make anything better. It certainly won't make our story go away, because this is history. And people, that's what I've noticed about Americans. They're very uncomfortable with their history. They don't want to talk about their history. This is Portland Portland's history now. We are part of Portland's history, and this is really important history because there is a lot of corruption in this city. This is how the city came to be what it is, which is a filthy hellhole, which hasn't spilled over to Multnomah Village yet, but it will. It will, because the darkness is spreading. You can't stop it. I mean, when your leadership has nefarious goals like getting rid of people, that is going to spread, and that's why you see it spreading all over Portland.
And that's why they have camps set up, folks. They're setting up camps because they're just calling people. They're not really trying to help them, or else they invest every single dollar that they have in the Move in Multnomah program.
Because and into addiction services. I have no idea. This camp idea is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, they're saying they're going to provide services at the camp when we already know that we don't have the beds. We don't have the
mental health
and addiction services
to provide to these people.
So how are you going to provide it at the camps if you don't have the money to do it, period? And then the camp in and of itself will become an expense. I mean, you have people on the street who need addiction services, mental health help, and incentives to come back to society. And then you have people who are ready for housing and prepared to get into housing, but that's not happening because we're not funding programs like the Move in Multnomah program, which was a great program because it's pairing people who want to help out with this crisis, who have empty homes, with homeless people, and then giving them the support services they need. Those are the two things we need to be funding. You start funding mass encampments, that's all you're going to be funding. They're going to need money every year. They become a business in and of themselves.
And once again, once you have an industry that's making money, folks, there is no incentive to shut that program down. Okay, it's just going to get bigger. There's going to be more homeless people, more people in the camps. The camps are going to grow. There's going to be more camps.
There's such a disdain for life in our society. We just throw it away like it's garbage, which is why we are not evolving. It's why we're devolving. But there's such a disdain. This will grow and grow and grow because that's another thing I notice when I'm out there on social media is that, it's always the person who's in the streets' fault. Like it's me and my husband's fault that this happened to us. It's our daughter's fault she became a crime victim. It's never the fault of the people who are in charge, ever. They have completely made it so they're responsible for everything and not responsible for anything.
And not accountable.
Not accountable. We don't even know how to hold them accountable. Me and my husband are trying to hold them accountable, and people get angry at us for even talking about it. So we have a long way to go, and we have a lot of cleaning to do and a lot we need to talk about. I'm sorry we don't have a free and fair media. This is really like living in like North Korea or China, living here in Portland, which is like why I said last week, I kind of think Portland, this does kind of resemble late stage communism because that's when you start getting the camps and killing people. That's, you just do it out in the open. That's what I've always seen. That's what it always devolves down into because there's no care for the individual, right? And that's what me and my husband have experienced here, where we just don't matter. Like I said, I mean, we could find a murder victim with the weapon, know exactly who did it, witness the whole thing, drag the body down to the police station, and they wouldn't do a thing. They just don't care. They just don't care. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's their choice. That's their decision. That doesn't mean that we turn to violence. That's, again, not an option for us. So, and I know that pacifism is something that people just barely even understand in our society anymore because everybody is so war, war, war. I see people supporting war and violence and chaos all the time. But this is who we are. So this is what it is.
But folks, we are free will beings and we can make different decisions. Like for instance, we can decide to take care of people instead of harming them. It's a very simple shift. It's not an easy shift because we've been practicing harming people for a very long time, and that's kind of ingrained in us. But like I said, we still can make the decision to start just caring for people. And you would see that if we focused on just caring for people, a lot of our problems would start to subside.
Exactly.
And we get closer and closer to a world that actually is peaceful and prosperous.
And we're talking about caring for people. We're not talking about selling them things, because I mean, I just see that all the time in our culture. I mean, everybody's being sold something that's gonna, instantly make them happy. But as you can see, we're angrier and madder than ever. Everybody's running around being completely. I mean, the things I see nowadays, it's like. It's like living in the Twilight Zone. I mean, people just run around angry, killing, burning things down, bombing, ripping babies out of their wombs. We have to stop this if we want to improve as a species. I personally want to improve. I'm here for only a limited amount of time. I'm going to turn 46. My husband's 45. We're not going to be here for forever. So, this opportunity won't be here for forever.
But while we're here, we're going to try and get it done, folks, and we're going to do the best we can, and we're going to do it alone if we have to. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep on trying.
We're going to keep making
but it would be helpful. It would be helpful, folks, if we could get some serious engagement here.
Well, it'd be nice if people took an interest. It's just like the courtrooms I'm talking about. They're always empty. Everybody's too busy to get involved with the administration of their society, and then they complain that the society's falling apart. Like, even for me and my husband, we could not be too busy to pursue this matter for our daughter and for our family. We have to pursue it because it got in our way, and it affects everybody. It affects everybody when we've agreed to all these laws and the system is just continually tampered with. I mean, they're not putting up with it with the January 6th defendants, but for some reason it's important. I mean, in Portland, all these people were able to pull this off, pay off the media to shut it down, and then just carry on. And it's not making anything better. 16 years later, the place is a hellhole. So, I mean, I don't know when you guys want to change course. But, slamming ourselves into a brick wall repeatedly, it's not a good strategy.
And folks, a lot of you like to think that we are doing that we are slamming our heads against the brick wall. But, folks, we're not, okay?
No.
We're not harming ourselves. We're out here healing. We're out here focused on positivity, okay? We are trying to hold these people accountable. We are not hitting our heads against the brick wall.
No,
okay?
we've doubled down on what we think is a good strategy. We like I said, we're pacifists. This is the strategy we're going to use, but we have doubled down on our commitment, to each other as well. I mean, we know how to make a commitment. We've been together for 28 years, okay? So, and we committed to staying with our kids and our family and even working through some of the most terrible, terrible things. So we know a lot about commitment, and we're not giving up. And with that, we're going to shut it down. We're going to say our affirmation. We always ask people to join us. If you don't want to join us publicly, privately, take this home, get in the mirror, start saying it to yourself, because it's super, super important to try to connect with your self-worth.
And folks, I want to let you know, especially since they're signing all this legislation in to move to this, new digital currency system where they have complete control over everything that everybody is doing. I don't think that that's a good direction for us to go as a nation or as a world, but that's what they're rolling out, and they're going to get it done, if we don't get engaged.
And start questioning their intentions. Justice for Qadira is a really great way and great avenue for everybody in here to start questioning the intentions of the leadership. And I encourage you all to do that, because I encourage you again to take back your value, because they are not inviting everybody to their new world.
No.
They don't care if you go die and pump yourself full of drugs in the concentration camp. That's why they're setting them up. Folks, so we want to leave you with this mantra.
This is a very important thing, okay? We're not talking about money or gold or silver or cryptocurrency or any kind of resource. We are talking about human lives, okay? And that is what is actually literally valuable. That's the only thing that's actually or should be valuable to our society, and then everything else should be relative. And what you would see if we focused on that as an understanding, as a common understanding, is that life would be better cared for by our race of beings. Okay, all of the life, not just human life. So here's how it goes. I am the value.
You are the value. We are the value. I am the value. You are the value. We are the value. I am the value. You are the value. We are the value.
Folks, please take that with you. Okay? Embrace it, understand it, acknowledge it. Okay? Say it to yourself in the mirror. Reclaim your value.
You're an integral part of this society. Everybody is. I did want to mention, my husband was pointing out, somebody asked this chat GPT, if any species on this planet should be eradicated, and chat GPT was smart enough to say no. So if the AI gets it, then humanity should get it. That chat GPT actually said, no, we need to be figuring out a way to take care of all of the life. And I do really believe that's the goal. And that's a goal, befitting an intelligent race of beings. And we need to start acting like an intelligent race of beings. And a lot of what's going on around here is not intelligent. So we can change that. We can always change that. But, our leaders, they're not necessarily leading us in the right direction. And the Portland leadership doesn't like me and my husband because they don't like the fact that we have reclaimed our value and that we are holding them accountable. So, again, we're going to shut it down. We'll see everybody downtown on Friday. It'll be, I wonder how many, maybe they'll send a whole crew of police officers down to hand us a ticket. It's so ridiculous at this point. But that's okay. Hey,
but go ahead. We'll deal with it.
Again,
we'll deal with it.
We're not afraid. There will be no fight caught on camera with the police. So, it's just silliness. Anyway, we will see everybody next week. God bless. Everybody take care of one another. And again, we're
take care of yourself.
That's right. Take care of yourselves and each other. Jerry Springer had that right. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good rest of your week.